Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and 314 is here. I've had a couple of days now to play with it, and generally I enjoyed it. I have to be honest, like there was a couple of points when I'm playing this, and it's one of those things that you kind of trip over when you're playing Star Citizen. Is it's just like, maybe I need to do a couple upgrades on my PC. And at other times you're kind of sitting there thinking, wait, is this server side? Is this me? That sort of thing. But it's kind of, helped me kind of turn a corner. It's like, yeah, I got to put a few orders in and get some upgrades. But I have to say, Orison arriving when it did. I mean, let's be honest. It arrived now because obviously it is going to be part of some big Citizen Conline production. October 9th, I believe, is the date for that. This is going to be the setting. This is going to be the convention hall, that sort of thing. And all these things are going to launch, and this is going to be the vehicle for that launch. And visually, it's certainly impressive. I think the cloud text still needs a little bit of work, but once again, that could be on the hardware side of things for me. So I'm going to be exploring that in hopefully the next couple of weeks. I'll be exploring a solution to that. But overall, I'm still kind of on the fence about whether or not this has to be here. I have to be honest, but I'm always I'm more of a pragmatist. I'm not someone who really kind of gives in to big flashy things. For me, Orison was more like New Babbage, and while New Babbage certainly is flashy and visually impressive, it didn't really contain any noteworthy unique gameplay elements. It was just, in a way, another landing site. I mean, crossing into, a world where an entire planet is a city. This is cool, certainly, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, it certainly hits those Bespin notes, those Empire Strikes Back notes. And I can see that when this game is fully finished and fully fleshed out, and there are people to talk to and there are things to do, and you've got a particle system that makes all these, cherry blossoms, brush around on the road when you walk through them. All that stuff, when the cloud effects are a little bit more touched up. This is going to be an awesome, very immersive, and very rewarding place to play. I think it's going to be fantastic, but it to me, it still does kind of feel like the game's not quite ready to show something like this off. I feel that even as awesome as it is, it doesn't show its full potential yet. The game is not ready to show its full potential, and so I feel like it kind of came a little too soon, perhaps a year too soon. But once again, that's dependent on CIG developing other systems to kind of prop this thing up. But I definitely feel like it came a year too soon. Still, it's visually impressive. It's still like a cool area to look at. It's just, I think that held off a little while longer and then delivered, it probably would have been vastly more impressive. And that's kind of one of the things when these locations kind of get rushed out the door. I don't think that they really do themselves justice. But then again, that could be me thinking in a more of a conventional game release schedule frame of mind than in an alpha frame of mind. So I totally allow for that criticism of my line of thinking. For me, when Orison Crusader really blew my mind, when 314 really kind of made me stop and go, holy crap, was, as I was exploring and I was kind of doing different things, I was trading, I was doing combat missions, bunker missions, that whole thing. There was this moment here when I was delivering goods to Olisar, and I was getting out of my pirate caterpillar, and you got a little bit of a hint of it there for a second, but as I'm getting out of my ship and I'm just kind of, running through the routine, I literally had to stop and pause. And that's one of, when you get those moments in Star Citizen, just you arrive at the perfect time on the surface of a planet to catch a sunset or something like that. It really kind of makes you go like, oh, okay, yeah. No, wait, look at this, pay attention to this. And this was definitely one of those moments, right? Because I'm just going through the motions, really, as we often get trained to do. And then right here, right about here, you're just going to see me stop. And there's a little bit of a streak of a spaceship running by. And there is that gas giant, That was a big moment. Honestly, if that was all that we got and Orison was something that came down the road, it'd still be very impressive. I'd gotten so used to the old Crusader that seeing this was, it's sort of like you kind of get used to things and you think, oh, it's okay. It's not that bad. It's okay. But you kind of get used to it being kind of like, eh. And then all of a sudden you see it. You see the improvement. You see what's possible. And then you're just like, oh, okay, yeah. No, the other one, it wasn't, it's okay. It's like, nah, it was total crap. This is 100 times better. So that was, for me, that was the moment where Crusader impressed me the most. Was seeing it for the first time from the Olisar landing pads. That's when it blew my mind. But as I said, I was exploring. I was looking for different components for ships and things like that. I do own a lot of the components, but as you know, components like to disappear between patches, along with clothing items and guns and ammunition, P4AR, magazines, in particular CIG, if you're looking for anything to fix. But the rest of the game, and this was the thing that really worried me. This is the thing that really concerned me. I know that we've talked about this in previous months, but what was the impact going to be on the rest of the game? Other landing zones and other locations in Stanton didn't really seem to suffer all that much, and I really struggled to find appreciable degradation in performance post 3.14, and I had been playing right up till the 3.14 launch. I had been doing missions, getting background footage for videos, and so I really didn't notice all that much of a difference. What I did notice was upgrades, and of course the ship UI, the new missile controller mode. I always seem to stutter over that one, but in general it felt like a patch where certain things certainly got appreciably better. Now, while the ship UI still, I feel, needs some tweaks and some TLC, it's an improvement over the previous one. It does still suffer from the same centering issues that the previous UI suffered from. For those of you not entirely sure, the absolute center of your screen generally being kind of the center of where you want to be looking, and that's generally where you want to aim your ship or your quantum. But often those graphics are projected off center, so it's kind of like you're aiming your ship in one direction, but you actually have to aim it slightly off into another to effectively quantum to a location, or if you're using fixed guns, shoot at something. It's a little bit odd and a little bit off, but that being said, it is an improvement over the previous UI, which I believe was all flash based, so they had to get rid of it anyways. And hopefully this leads to improvements in the MFDs in the future, possibly the inclusion of a 3D landing, projection, so that we can stop using the external camera in a first-person game to land our spaceship. Would be nice. But overall, yeah, I have to say it. Like, I was very, very afraid that, with adding Orison, that the rest of the game was just going to slow to a crawl, since we got rid of Delamar to kind of get back some performance budget, only to then spend it on something far bigger. I was concerned that this was going to hurt. And it seems, fingers crossed, okay. But then again, one little patch here or there just to fix one tiny little thing can sometimes throw the whole thing, right down the stairs. So, fingers crossed. Ideally, if you want to see how Star Citizen really performs, I've found that, when my insomnia sometimes kicks me out of bed at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I log into Star Citizen just to get some background footage, because might as well do something now that I'm awake. The game runs very, very smoothly, and the servers are generally right where you want them to be. And I find that that's generally the best time to capture footage, is during those early morning hours. Now, just because of real life, I hadn't had the opportunity to do that, though I'm going to try to squeeze that in at some point in the future, just to get a better idea of the servers functioning under ideal circumstances. But everything, while not ideal, performs at the level that we generally expect Star Citizen to perform at, if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, some people say, I expect Star Citizen to be 100 frames a second and buttery smooth and all this, but the performance that we're used to, let me put it that way. Now, along with that goes FPS missions. And in general, I feel that in earlier iterations with FPS missions, what CIG probably had going on is probably fairly decent NPC AI, but the problem is that those NPCs were bogged down by really tragic and oppressive server performance issues. And so what we got was either enemies that just killed us right off the bat, or enemies that didn't react when you emptied entire magazines into them. And so I feel like CIG kind of picked up on that fact and dumbed the NPCs down quite a bit, because it seems like they're just completely non-reactive to hostile actions. I think I'm using suppressed weapons just generally because I like to play things in a bit of a stealthy way, but I found that even when my presence was obvious in front of the NPCs, they didn't seem to react to it. And that's kind of what you're seeing me do right now, is I'm kind of hanging out there out in the open. You'll see another one, the last enemy in this bunker that I kill. I'm standing out in front of him and he doesn't happen to notice that I'm there. And so that's where I kind of feel that CIG has kind of dumbed them down to just kind of make up for the lackluster server performance. But in general, the actions, while still littered with all kinds of inefficiencies and, just janky animations and whatnot, a lot of the problems that we're used to, it's not, this kind of like coin toss whether or not it's going to work. I would hate to have to escape from prison when server performance is really bad, just because of how janky that can be under ideal circumstances, not to mention, doing all that platforming when the server may or may not be registering what you're doing. And I did have a couple of desyncs, but in general, it does kind of make the missions playable, though. I mean, obviously they still reward, the financial rewards, UEC, alpha UEC in the game, but it's not rewarding in the challenge sense, if you know what I mean. It would be kind of like if you were playing Battlefield and everyone else on the server lagged out except for you, and so you could just run around just one-shotting all the other players and see, that's the guy, he barely reacted to me. So I'm hoping that they resolve the these issues fairly quickly, just so we can get more honest performance out of the NPCs. But overall, I mean, given the choice between this and just getting absolutely just one shot or just blitzed in like half a second by enemies that 1 second they're not there and then the next second they're there, it's just, I prefer this over that, but neither is anywhere close to the ideal. But it does work for now. So overall, in conclusion, I mean, 3.14 Was it really worth the wait? I mean, it depends on the viewer. It depends on the player. Some people, just a new landing zone, that's all they wanted. Other people, they want to see improvements to existing gameplay mechanics, and I get it. I totally do, and they would like to see more. But at the end of the day, right, you have many different teams working on different things, and sometimes some of those things arrive at the best possible time to kind of show them off. Other times, these things, because of the way Star Citizen is being developed, they arrive out of sync. And, you know, the things that would really make Orison pop are just not in the game yet. But who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, we are just watching this trickle of content keep adding up and adding up. Hopefully not overwriting some of the things that we have, or not having to constantly redo the things that we already have, though most of it does need a little bit of a touch up here and there. But I mean, at least it, you know, at the very least, it didn't make anything worse, and performance is generally where it was before, at least for me in my experience. Yeah, so performance hasn't really degraded. Orison is out of the way and hopefully there for when the game is ready for it. And now we can just kind of say, okay, 3.14, goodbye. 3.15, let's go. And hopefully this didn't do too much damage to 3.15. We'll see. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.